Hello everyone, welcome to this session on Operationalizing Text Analytics. To tell about myself, I am Satish Pala and I head the digital solutions at Indium Software. We are a technology company specializing in big data, data engineering, advanced analytics, app services, including low-code platform. I'm a technologist with keen interest in analytics, cloud, next-gen business and intelligence, and I've been in this industry for about 20 plus years and looking forward to this session. So in this particular session, I'm going to talk about text analytics, how do we operationalize it, and about our product from Indium Software, TextA, which will help you in this particular journey. So let me go further into text analytics. So in general, the definition would say a set of linguistic, statistical and machine learning techniques that model and structure the information content of textual sources for business intelligence, EDA, which is exploratory data analysis, research or investigation. This looks too complex to understand, but let's go further. In terms of the main significance of text analytics is to extract useful information from documents or images that have text that is not in an easily readable form or easily parsable form. In tech terms, we would extract features, entities, context, relationships and sentiments from text, like I said, in various forms, thereby generating insights. You could see this tag cloud with various verbs or terms. For example, if you want to identify certain positive elements or negative terms, positive terms from a text, this is something that text analytics use cases regularly implement. Okay, so let's go deeper into some of the use cases. This is not limited to this list of use cases. There are multiple use cases for text analytics across domains, across industries. And this is pretty much a sample representation of some use cases across certain domains. Let's start with banking and financial services. Financial trading is one use case where the documents could be extracted with the information related to let's say quarter results or financial results, and then to be useful for either report generation or further analysis and investments. Creditworthiness assessment is something that has been in play for all the fintech companies, wherein once a prospect wants to become a customer, for example, to take a loan, this particular use case really helps in terms of extracting information from content related to the customer, either from agencies, to identify the credit score for this particular person when he or she becomes a customer. So this is something that is usually done before a prospect becomes a customer. Let's look at health and life sciences. So some of the use cases that we come across in health and life sciences are identifying patterns in doctor prescriptions or patient records, converting voice to text for doctor conversations with patient. If there is for example, if you require information and you would call a medical firm, and there are use cases implemented use cases wherein, based on the requested information over the voice or over the phone, the correct department is directed to. So you can be going to the right department for the right information, removing all the hassles of waiting as well as not getting the required information. So that is a very interesting use case. If you look at e-commerce and retail, voice of the customer is pretty crucial in running your business smoothly, especially e-commerce and retail. So text analytics use case is like voice of the customer is not just e-commerce and retail, but across most of the B2C customers. Customer service routing is again like the way I explained in health and life sciences. You could make this in play if there is a call from a customer on related to a complaint. The relevant customer service is routed to. So this saves time and also keeps the customer happy. Manufacturing, there are use cases like warranty analysis, and also if you are in market research, you could identify trends related to your product in the market. Coming to human resources, Some of the examples like resume extraction and identifying content specific to skills that you need. You could use this text analytics models to identify the resumes that fit your requirements. So resume extraction is one such example in recruitment. If you look at security, redaction is an example where you can mask PII information. So this really helps to identify personal information and mask them before you would want to distribute to other parties. So this is a very interesting use case wherein you can extract PII, mask them and send them without having to share the PII information. Threat analysis is something that can be done. Telecom and media, there is a also, since it's a customer B2C customer B2C type business, there's a lot of use cases applicable. However, I've thought of explaining about TV advertising and audience analysis. So in this case, audience analysis and TV advertising requires a lot of textual data from the feedback provided by the audience, as well as how the audience rates, as well as how the audience takes up the content or consumes the content. So this is really helpful there. If you look at some other B2C generic use cases, you have chatbots that either look for a FAQ type response based on the questions, predetermined questions, or look for the content in the question, identify intelligently a right answer, and also use a machine learning to come back with an answer that is close enough to the question or the intent of the question. Voice of the customer is something that I already spoke about, so this is very crucial for B2C customers. If you look at some other industries like energy or utilities, digitization is a crucial use case wherein, let's say, there is a field agent looking at service of a power station or a field or a generator or whatever. Then he keeps filling paper forms, and then needs that to be digitized. This is one such use case wherein text extraction and content digitization could be useful. Other interesting use cases are based in travel and transportation, wherein there is a lot of reviews on the sites. Text analytics helps summarize these reviews, give sentiment on the travel portals or the sites that are providing the hotel or travel or accommodation services. Also, you can also do travel analysis based on the feedback, as well as based on any historical information that is available. So these are some use cases. However, we are not limited to these use cases. Let's go into the next slide. This slide basically gives us a flow of how text analytics, which in this case I'm describing it as text mining, how a text mining process works. How before even we operationalize, we need to have a workflow from the engineering side on the text mining. So let's quickly discuss about this, and then we'll go into operationalization. So text mining starts with collection. Once we collect information or text from documents like .doc or .pdf or pictures like JPEG or PS files. Also, you can get information from web pages, any posts on social media sites, any comments or reviews on product pages. You could gather these information. Once you gather, we will need to parse. So the parsing includes extraction of words, identifying sentences, parts of speech. Also identify all the words and stem them for grouping and summarization into for calculating scores. Then we have to filter irrelevant stuff from the extracted content, and then there are multiple filtering techniques. Some of the techniques include term by document matrix and filtering out. So the next step is transforming whatever we have extracted and filtered. So there are certain counts that you will need to generate. For example, term counts, create a term by document matrix, create the SVD scores, and then based on that we will have to mine the information that has been filtered and transformed. So mining includes extracting topics, clustering the topics, link analysis, and also predicting using analytical models. So this is in general a basic flow of text mining, wherein there is a feedback cycle in terms of once we mine, we want to train the whole process. So we give the feedback back to filtering. So this whole life cycle includes a collection to mining, also includes a feedback loop. The feedback loop enhances the whole life cycle. All right. So there's a general question that everybody asks you. Satish, I'm very excited by the output of your text analytics POC, but how does it help my business, or how does it help my business operations on a daily basis? Now this is a very standard question. If we speak to any CMO, CXO, CIO, it's a question. I'm having a lot of use cases, I'm having a lot of POCs, pilots, but how do I bring this into my business? How do I embed this into my business? This is something that is very crucial for implementing text analytics in a business. So let's ask 3 questions, and we will try to answer these 3 questions as part of this session. How do you choose, or how to choose the right text analytics technique? So there are certain answers, we'll go through that later. How to present the text analytics output? And the third question is, okay, I've got the text analytics output. How do I embed text analytics into the business process? So if we could answer these 3 things, we could have an answer for how do I operationalize text analytics. Operationalizing text analytics is nothing but, it's not a science project, but it needs to be a business process. Text analytics to be consumed as part of a business process. So that's the idea behind operationalizing the text analytics. So before I answer these questions, I would like to just talk about a quick flow of what we do in terms of operationalization, starting from text analytics as a flow, and then what would be the input to the text analytics, and how do I embed our output of the text analytics be consumed as. So let's look at the next slide. So in this particular slide, you will notice that there obviously we spoke about text mining. So there is a process for text mining. This is a little bit at a high level, wherein there is a set of data sources, which could be a PDF, CSV, or document, wherein the text is in a nicely readable form, or a skewed form, or is in an unstructured image form. So that is something that is a regular business process. You don't expect ideal documents all the time. So let's say you have that. Then you have this whole text mining process, which includes pre-processing, like I said, extraction, filtering. Then you have got some certain text processing elements like stemming, tokenization, and stop word removal. Once we do that, we have some advanced analytics, and then most of our data scientists who work on text analytics, they get the model output and present it to a nice and beautiful dashboard, and then be happy with it. But how does it require? How can we make this more useful for the business, right? So that's the idea. So how do we make it useful for the business? So we will need some kind of operationalizing this whole gray box that I have presented here. So how do I operationalize this gray box? This one needs to be a scheduled process. Could be you could run it based on a trigger on your business process, or you could run it on a daily basis, or a weekly, quarterly, a monthly basis, depending upon your use case. So there are text analytics is one thing, but in order to make text analytics embedded into a business process, you will need other capabilities like productizing your text analytics. You add capabilities in scheduling text analytics. You need capabilities in extraction of content and pre-processing the content before extraction is done. So there are capabilities required to move the dashboards to the users who are going to consume the content. It could be through email or exported documents, or it could be insights through a SaaS product called API, or it could be presented in a nice enterprise application through web, or it could be presented through mobile. So you will need capabilities related to end-to-end application rather than a text analytics. So we're going to make text analytics as an application to operationalize this. So how do we make it as an application? We will need to stitch text analytics together with the input, which is the sources, through some kind of scripting or some kind of integration, and then output to be stitched to the application through some kind of embedding. For example, you could embed dashboards as an iframe into your web applications, and then you could consume that through web or a mobile. You could also build APIs on top of your text analytics, which can be consumed by your users or consumers. So these guys could talk to your text analytics API, present the data sources, and get the text analytics output. So there are certain factors that determine how your text analytics output could be consumed. It could be a business process. For example, you are looking for a creditworthiness assessment. Your text analytics could be a SaaS application wherein you could just pass on the consumer details through a API request, and the text analytics output could be a consumer creditworthiness score as part of an API response. So there are various ways you could do that. The factors include the way the data is expected by the business process. Is it through a technical integration, or is it through a portal, or is it through a PDF document that is sent through email? So is it through a message on your mobile? So, and then that is one thing. The next thing is, okay, the text analytics process is nicely integrated, but then how do I make it better? So that's when the feedback is. So the feedback is provided in both automated way as well as manual. The manual is based on the user feedback, and automated is based on the model application itself giving back the data to the text analytics engine to make it better. So this is in general how we operationalize the text analytics engine and make it an end-to-end application to be consumed by the business, which obviously runs a day-to-day operations. We'll go back to answering these three questions. So how to choose the right text analytics technique? So there are multiple factors. You could choose text analytics techniques based on the analytics level of maturity at your firm. There are firms that are really new to analytics, so they could start with, let's say, rule-based analytics. There are companies that are really mature in implementing AI, ML, deep learning, so they could use further statistical modeling based techniques. And there are factors like speed. How soon do you need the text analytics output, and at what cost do you need the text analytics output? These are the three factors that determine what type of text analytics technique to be used. So there are multiple techniques which I described a little bit ago, a few seconds ago. Some of these techniques are rule-based, ML-based, deep learning techniques, and NLP. So these, your text analytics, being part of your business, could be a combination of these techniques, one or more. So the easiest to start would be rule-based approach, and the complex ones would be deep learning and ML and NLP. Now that's about the technique side of the question. How do you present these text analytics output? So there are multiple ways to present this text analytics output. Very nice visual dashboard that goes into a portal, or it could be a report that is sent across on a daily basis to the business process or business teams or operations team. It could be a data feed for your process. It could be a file that is sent, or it could be stored in a database that is being used for your business process. Or you also probably need certain teams to validate the text analytics outputs. So it could be a manual intervention to validate the output. This particular set of people validate the output manually, either on the text analytics output presented either as a report or a dashboard or a portal. Or it could be an auto narration or a narration generated by the manual intervention team. So there are various ways you could present an output to the business process. Let's understand how do we embed the text analytics output into the business process. So you could embed dashboards, which we discussed as one of the outputs, into a web or mobile applications. There are dashboards that are pretty much by themselves a web application. However, most of the firms have their own portals, their own web applications built. They would want these dashboards to be available as part of their web enterprise portals. So in such a scenario, we normally embed dashboards as iframes or get the APIs interacted with and get the output. You will obviously need to set up a feedback loop. You need some amount of automation to run the text analytics process engine. You need some amount of scheduling, which we discussed a short while back. You also need continuous model enhancement so that your text analytics output efficiency increases by the time over the time. So in general, there are various ways by which text analytics could be embedded into business process, but there are key things like embedding into a portal, embedding into a mobile application, setting up feedback, ensuring automation is there so that there is no manual intervention, making sure that the text analytics engine runs on a schedule, making sure text analytics engine's feedback is accounted for and the model behind the text analytics engine is enhanced in a periodic way. So I'll talk about TextA, which is a product from us, from Indium Software. I'll just give a brief description of what it is. TextA primarily focus on text analytics using AI. Like in the previous slide, I spoke about rule based and ML based or deep learning based and NLP. So in this case, TextA is our product that is all of them together. So it does rule based AI, machine learning, deep learning based models behind it. It has three major so I would say modules. One is text extraction that is able to pre-process, extract content or text from the content documentation like PDFs, documents, images, etc. Then we have a text classification module that categorizes based on the text that is extracted. Then there is a summarization module that is able to get all the text content out of, let's say, a review or a post, and then summarize an output. Also provide a scoring in terms of sentiment. So why do we have this? There's as we all know, 80% of our data is either semi-structured or structured. I spoke about documents. There are scanned images, there are emails, there are audio, video, there are chats, there are reviews, posts, etc., which would contain all this 80% non-structured data. So this non-structured, which is basically semi or unstructured, is required to be extracted, transformed, and analyzed for or mined for further insights. So what we could do is, as part of TextA, our USP is we are able to pre-process the content, the documents in such a way that the text analytics output is extremely efficient. We are able to extract content once the pre-processing makes the document better for extraction. We actually give a solution that is simple and cost efficient. The accuracy of the extracted content is high, thereby enhancing the customer experience. Now, how do we do it? We are, like I said, we use variety of linguistic machine learning models and NLP to solve problems with the unstructured data. Some of the algorithms and libraries that we use are TensorFlow, Scikit, NLTK, Elmo, Spacey, and neural models. Okay, let's go into the next slide. I'll talk about the features. One of the key things that TextA enables is to operationalize the text analytics model that we have. So we are easily customizable, we are easily flexible in terms of integrating with sources as well as integrating with the consumption layer. So talking about the features, it's a comprehensive AI based product. Like I said, it extracts, summarizes and classifies, works on all types of documents. Pre-processing is our USP. We are able to improve the image quality, and then also, for example, there's a skewed PDF. Skewed PDF doesn't give a right text extracted information, so we pre-process it, unskew it, and make it better for extraction. We have deployment options on-prem as well as cloud. Ours is highly secure. It meets all this regulatory compliances, security compliances. We have a redaction module that actually helps mask PII information and thereby comply with the document sharing with masked information. We have pretty decent UI. We have a admin panel for user management. We support various languages like English, Latin, Mandarin, Japanese, Thai. We not only capture data from the tables on the document, we also capture peripheral data, which makes it more useful for the consumers. We have a document classification engine that helps the model identification better for extraction, so it will choose the right model for the right document. Various business complex needs we have addressed so far, and we provide the insights in a very nice user friendly and consumable format. So these are some of the features, and we are one of the top text analytics products available in this market. So with that, I'll look forward for the questions, and happy to hear any questions from you all.